Hi everyone, welcome to Lola's Frugal Life. This is episode number 209. Today I'm going to be talking about tips to help you minimize your schedule. So please stick around for a few quick words from our sponsor and we'll get right into the show. Okay, so before we get into today's topic, I just wanted to remind everyone that I am having a contest during the month of June for a $5 Amazon gift card giveaway. There's two ways to enter. The first way is to leave a review on Apple Podcasts, send me a screenshot of the review via email, and the second way is to screenshot the show and tag me on Instagram. Then just email me, either way, email me the screenshot of the review or email me to let me know that you tagged me on Instagram. The reason it's important to email me is because that's how I would send you the, the digital code, for it's going to be a digital gift card. My email is lolasfrugallife@gmail.com. So I would look forward to your entries. The winner will be randomly chosen from all entries received during the first week of July. So again, before we get into this week's topic, one other thing. Whenever my topic is not like an actual frugal topic, I like to always share a frugal tip of the week so that at least there's some frugal aspect to each episode. So this week's frugal tip of the week, I've shared this one before, but it's been a while, so I think it's worth sharing again. And that's to call to ask for a discount when you have a service that renews. So the example that I always give is we have a subscription to XM Radio. And what I do every year is I call when our renewal time comes and I get a discount, like a huge discount every single time from what they would have charged if I just let it renew at like the regular rate. And at first I used to always call and kind of like pretend that I was going to cancel, trying to get a discount that way. But then finally the one woman just kind of was like, you don't really need to. She was very, very nice, but she was like, just so you know, since you've been a customer, you can just call and ask for the best rate, like kind of saying, we don't have to go through this game like you're going to cancel. But so it's worked out every year, like significantly. When I did it this year, the bill, I think it was going to be like $30 a month or something, and it went to like $10 a month. Like it was dramatically different just by calling. And actually this year I didn't even have to call. They had like a chat feature on their website, and I did it, I guess it was on the website, and I did it right on my phone, and I just chatted with the person right on my phone, and I got the bill lowered down to a third of what it was going to be. So just always check if you have like those annual type subscriptions where you got like a good deal up front and then it goes up to like a higher amount. Just always call and see if you might be able to get a better rate. Okay, so let's talk about today's topic. So today I wanted to talk about tips to help you minimize your schedule. And, as I kind of thought about what to talk about in this episode, I'm not sure if I actually have too many tips because I think it's hard to give actual tips unless you know what's on someone's actual schedule. So I feel like this is more just kind of talking about and thinking about what your schedule's like and just kind of, making you be mindful of it and kind of looking at it yourself and trying to see, what things might need to be changed. But, we all know that we only have 24 hours a day to work with. And within that time, most of us would like to eat, sleep, get some things done, and have some time to relax and enjoy our lives. But sometimes we pack our schedule so tight that it makes it difficult to squeeze all of those things into our day. And then if one thing goes wrong, everything goes off the rails because there's no time to even spare. Then we might even end up creating a more stressful day for tomorrow because then we try and pile on what we didn't get done today to get done tomorrow, and it just kind of continues on. And sometimes by trying to put so many things on our schedule, we often end up being less productive because, it just can be overwhelming when you have these enormous amount of things to do, and it can really kind of lead you to procrastinating. So it's like, I'm sure you've heard the saying, you can do anything, but you can't do everything. So really try and think about that. When you say yes to put some things into your schedule, you're essentially saying no to something else. And if you're not careful with your time, that something else might be something that was much more of a priority to you than what you did end up putting on your schedule. So, before you try to start making changes to your schedule or minimize it, it's important to know what you are trying to get out of this process. The point of minimizing your schedule is not just to cut things out with no real thought put into it, You want to cut out what's not really important to you so that you can make time for what is the most important to you. Try and maybe just think about what are your priorities and are you able to devote time to them. It doesn't mean that you need to have like hours and hours to spend on your goals or priorities every week, because a lot of times that's not realistic, but you want to at least be able to find small amounts of time that you can make at least a little bit of progress on your goals each week, or your hobbies or whatever it is that you would like to be able to make time for. If you're not able to do these things, you might want to take a good look at your days and your weeks and determine what's taking up all of your time. So, in order to kind of figure out where your time is going, it's important to know how much you've kind of already committed to various things in your life so that you can better see if something needs to go. And one way to approach this is by plotting out everything that you have on your schedule that is fixed. So, kind of maybe lay out like a week with like hours, for each day, and kind of block out the time that you're working, sleeping, cooking, eating, all of those things that are kind of like fixed and there's not really much flexibility in them. So you want to like kind of lay those out first, because then you could see what other time is available in between. Like if you had nothing else going on and you just had like those basics, how much time do you have? And then you want to layer in any scheduled activities you have. Maybe you take an exercise class or meet with a book club, or if you have children, don't forget to include things on your schedule like taking them back and forth to activities or to part-time jobs. It's really interesting when you try and lay this out on a calendar, like, on a schedule, how quickly the time gets eaten up by just these regular everyday things that kind of have to happen. And, sometimes it makes it kind of gives you a better mindset about things, because you don't feel like you're wasting time. You can see like, wow, there's actually a lot of things that do have to happen in the day that I don't have much control over. And maybe I'm shouldn't be expecting myself to be able to get so many more things done, in this amount of time. So once you get your schedule plotted out, like, do you think it looks okay? Maybe you plot it out and you find that it doesn't look that bad. Maybe you have more time available than you thought you did. Sometimes if we're not intentional with our time, it can feel like we're not getting enough things done because we're not really focused on anything in particular during our free time. So, while you definitely want to have time to rest in your schedule, having too much free time without plans on anything in particular to be working on or doing can make you feel like you're just kind of wasting time away. So even if you plan to do something like watch a movie or read, it will help give you a feeling of putting your time to good use. If you're just kind of like doing a little of this and a little of that, it kind of gives you the sense that you're kind of letting time get away from you. So it's good to have some structure and a few concrete things that you'd like to do, whether those are things for fun or for work or something you'd like to make some progress on. It doesn't have to be, something really, like some major task, but it's more kind of like defining what you're doing rather than maybe just sitting down, going and cleaning a little bit, going and doing a little of this, and just kind of like wandering around and not really getting much of anything really accomplished that you can kind of quantify for yourself. So then, if you're looking at your schedule and you're thinking, wow, I have some time here, but I just feel like I don't have enough time for all these things that I'm trying to get done. Well, maybe you might need to look at your to-do list and see if that needs to be prioritized. Because sometimes it's not that we have so many concrete things in our schedule, but we might have too large of a to-do list. And when your to-do list is not prioritized, it can make you feel like you never have enough time in your schedule to make a dent in your list. You want to make sure that your to-do list is made up of things that are really important. And I know sometimes, we can think of little things and we just keep adding and adding and adding onto that to-do list. So one tip might be to take your long to-do list and maybe pick your top 3 priorities and put them on a separate list to focus on those only and get those things done. And once those are done, then maybe go back again and pick another top 3. Because when you're looking at this enormous list, it can really be overwhelming, and it can definitely lead to procrastination because you don't even know where to begin. If you create a smaller list of just a few priorities and focus on them first, if you check 3 things off a list of 3 things, you're going to feel great. But if you check 3 things off a list of 30 things, it's not going to feel as good because it's still going to look like you barely made a dent in anything. So you want to try and scale back that to-do list. Like, keep your master list, but maybe for what you're focusing on during the week, just try and really scale it back to what's important to you. And another thing is to also look at your to-do list. Are there things on there that have been on there for a really long amount of time, and maybe they don't really need to get done? Sometimes we put things on our list that we think need to get done and we think are important, but if you consider how long they've been on there and you've gotten along this far without doing it, just really consider, is it really something that's important to you and something that really does need to get done? Because sometimes we have those things and they just nag at us forever, and all it really kind of does is make you feel bad because you haven't done it. And if you never really think you're going to do it, just take it off your list. You haven't done it all this time. If it's something important like a certain doctor's appointment you need to schedule or something like that, of course, keep that on your list. But a lot of times I feel like we just come up with all these little things in our mind that we think we want to do, and we just jot them down and we create these long lists, and it just fills up our schedule with so many things that we feel like we need to do. And it's really important to kind of eliminate those things that aren't really important in our life and just keep the things on our list so that we can use our free time in our schedule to focus on those priorities. So what if you look at your schedule and you're like, even forget about the to-do list, forget about any other things that I want to get done during the week. There's no time in my schedule. It's like every minute is packed. I don't even know how I can do anything. So if you're in that situation, the first thing you might want to just kind of think about is this situation temporary? Sometimes depending on what's going on in our lives, our schedule can get really crazy, but only for a short time. Maybe it's a certain sports season for kids, or maybe it's a really busy season at work. I work in finance, so we have certain busy seasons during the year. Lots of different jobs have busy seasons. So when you have those times, life is going to be really busy. But if you kind of can think about it and identify and know that it's only for a shorter period of time, you can do some things to kind of just get you through that time until things slow down again. So you might want to look at your schedule and look at your to-do list and decide what things you can let go of for this time only, so that you can get them off your mind for now. So maybe you might want to have groceries delivered. Maybe you don't have time, not that you don't have time, but maybe you feel like having that hour and a half or however long it takes you to go grocery shopping and put the groceries away and all that. Maybe you feel like having that little bit of time would be helpful to you. So maybe you decide you're going to get groceries delivered just during this busy season. Or maybe if you don't want to get groceries delivered, maybe you could try and do your grocery shopping planning so that you can maybe shop every other week instead of every week, so that you could save some time there. Maybe you want to lighten up your cleaning routine during this busy time, just getting the basics done until you got through this season. Maybe try to create a meal plan of like really simple recipes that don't take much time to cook. Just try and think of some ways to go easy on yourself just to get through the busy time. And then when life goes back to normal, you can resume your normal, tasks and things that you normally like to do. But if the situation is not temporary, you look at your calendar and it's just jam-packed with things that, you just have no room in your schedule at all. And it's not because of a temporary situation, it's just how your schedule has kind of evolved. Then you might really need to look at it and make some decisions on what can go, because it's really important to have some wiggle room in your schedule. Look at anything on there that's not fixed, like your work and your meal times and things like that, and see what you might be able to give up. Is there anything you're volunteering for that maybe you just don't have the time for? Maybe instead of doing it once a week, you have to do it once a month. Or are your kids in too many activities that times cross over and, conflict, and you're just struggling to get them places, or, anything that's in there that's not something that you absolutely have to do, see if there's different ways to rearrange or maybe have kids alternate things on different seasons. Maybe, like I said, maybe try and do volunteering, or maybe if you're attending a lot of social events, meeting with friends or whatever might be filling up your schedule, really look at it and start to figure out ways you can either eliminate things or do them less often. And if it's not something that you could change right now, by at least looking at it and acknowledging it, you'll be thinking about it and you'll probably come up with some ideas on how to make some changes, as you move along in the future, because you really want to make sure you have a schedule that you can just live every day and be able to make some progress on your priorities and not just have to feel like you're constantly running. And like I said, if you look at your schedule and it's not a temporary situation, it's really important to kind of look at that and figure out what things might be able to go. So that's all I have for today. I hope this was helpful. Like I said, I don't know how many actual tips I had in here on actually minimizing your schedule, because I think it's really so individualized depending on what you actually have on your schedule. I think the most important part is to just really look at it and plot it out and see what it looks like, because when you lay it out on paper, it can really give you a good perspective of how you have your time filled and what you can do to make that better and free up some time so that you can focus on your priorities. So don't forget, you can email me with any questions or suggestions at lolasfrugallife@gmail.com, and also don't forget to send me your entries for the $5 Amazon gift card to that email address. You can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Lola's Frugal Life. You can find blog posts for each episode on my website at lolasfrugallife.com. And you can also join our private listeners group at facebook.com/groups/lolasfrugallife. If you enjoy the show, please make sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you listen from. I would love it if you would screenshot the show and tag me on Instagram. And also, if you could take a couple of seconds to rate and review the podcast, that would be really helpful to me. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a really awesome day. Today's episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. If there is something interfering with your happiness or preventing you from achieving your goals, BetterHelp will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist. You can start communicating in under 48 hours. It's not a crisis line, it's not self-help, it's professional counseling done securely online. There is a broad range of expertise available, which may not be available to you locally. The service is available for clients worldwide. You can log into your account anytime and send a message to your counselor. You'll get timely and thoughtful responses, plus you can schedule weekly video or phone sessions so you won't ever have to sit in an uncomfortable waiting room as with traditional therapy. BetterHelp is committed to facilitating great therapeutic matches, so they make it easy and free to change counselors if needed. It's more affordable than traditional offline counseling, and financial aid is available. BetterHelp wants you to start living a happier life today. Visit betterhelp.com/Lola, that's better HELP, and join the over 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health with the help of an experienced professional. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp, and Lola's Frugal Life listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/Lola.